everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I wanted to kind of give you a review and talk about the Etude House Caffeine Holic palette. It's this one right here that is so cute and so aesthetically pleasing. Like if you like coffee, the aesthetic behind going to a cafe, having a coffee with your friends or whatever, this palette is so perfect for you. Especially if you like earthy tones, muted tones, this palette really suits those types of colors. So if your wardrobe kind of consists of that, this complements your wardrobe so well. It is part of the Play Color Eyes series that they have, so they have a bunch of different ones. They have this one in a bakery version, Autumn Closet, which I ordered and I'm waiting for that. So different, and I'll do a video on that one as well. But this is the one that I own and I have had this for quite some time, but I still love it so much. And yeah, I never did a dedicated video on this, so today that is what we're doing. With the palette, I'm also going to briefly talk about this blush right here, simply because it came out with the palette like 2019 or 18. It was part of the collection. Also came with two lipsticks that I don't own and the shades weren't really my style. This is the blush in the shade Pink Brownie, so I'll talk about this one too. So if you want to learn more about this palette, shades, everything like that, keep watching. So this palette has the most beautiful packaging. It's super nice and sleek and slim, so although it is a long palette, it does not take away a lot of space. You can travel with this, not have to worry about space issues, so that is really nice. The shade names are on the back, but they are in Korean, so if you can't read Korean, that's a little sucky. I have the shade names in English right here on my laptop. But in the front you can see different coffees. It's just so cute. And this is what the inside looks like. One of the main reasons why I love this palette so much, and when I've talked about this palette, that was what I always mentioned, is that this, in my eyes, is the perfect fall time palette. I know that while I'm recording, we are in March, so we're actually heading into spring. But I think this can also be a very good summer palette, because if you like neutrals that are warm and you like to go with very warm colors in the summertime, look very bronzy and just very sunny and rich, I think this palette will still work. And that is one of the things I like about it, because to me, when I look at it, it is a fall palette, especially with like the coffee aesthetic. It just reminds me of, you know, during the fall trench coat, you go and grab a coffee at Starbucks. That is what this reminds me of, but it can totally be worn throughout the entire year because it has simple and very like staple neutrals that you can wear. And I really like that it goes very warm, but you also have like more pinky shades that suit me, and I am neutral to cool tone, so I still get use out of this palette. I'm someone who is very like driven by the season, so when I see it's spring, I just automatically don't go towards very warm and deep shades. I like to go for something more clear and vibrant, but I still reach for this palette for like an easy everyday, I don't want to say basic, but if you want to just contour your eye with matte shadows and you just like a little bit of warmth, a little bit of a pink hue, I think this palette is very helpful for that. So moving on to the shades now, and then I'll talk a little bit about the different formulas. We have this first shade that is a beautiful kind of warm bronzy shade. It's described as a brown shimmery base with a gold pearl, and it is called Coffee to Go No Syrup. I personally really like this to apply like all over my eyelid, and then I add the next shade in my crease, and it's like that perfect just brown kind of everyday eye, but it looks a little bit more special because it's shimmery. So this shade is so nice to have even if you're cool toned. I think this is such a beautiful brown kind of gold shimmery color, and I feel like it brings out light brown eyes and like brown eyes a lot. I think it really complements them. The next shade is called Nutty Cloud. It is described as a milky beige brown base. I feel like that description really fits this shade. It can be used like all over the lid and crease, and you have just like a very good base color, or like for the lower lash line, I think it would be a good brown color because it's just not too deep. It's very buttery and smooth and soft, and the formula of the mattes is just so silky to the touch, and I feel like they really blur like your lines on your eyes, and I think it's just a very flattering formula overall. So Nutty Cloud has to be one of my favorites in this palette. Next up we have Extra Toffee Nut. This is a topper and it is described as a peachy glitter color with gold pink pearl. These descriptions are so spot on, love that. It is more of like a glitter topper, so on its own it doesn't have as much of a base tone. It's a little bit of a transparent, more clear kind of shadow, which I prefer these types of shadows these days a little bit more than actual shimmer shadows, metallic shimmer shadows. I just feel like they can be so versatile. You can wear them on its own, you can top other shadows. I imagine like this deep color like all over the lid, in the crease, lower lash, like super smoky, and then you add one of these two glitters in this palette. I think, oh my god, that would look amazing. I personally really like it. It is a very pinky, warm kind of glitter, and I just think it sparkles in such a special way, and it's just beautiful. Next up, we have another one of my favorites, which is called Decaf Coffee. It's a gorgeous pink shimmer base. It is kind of like the pink, more cool tone version from this one. This is why I love this palette, is that you can create like a more everyday basic kind of brown look with only these two, and you can do the exact same thing with these two shades right here because they are more pink toned. So you kind of have like your option of, do I want to go brown or more pink today? You can either pick these two or these two. So this as a base all over the lid, it's so beautiful, especially with the blush. Like, let me just hold it up. The blush complements this palette so perfectly and it looks so beautiful. So this blush in combination with those pink kind of tones, especially with the shimmer shade, it's so beautiful. Next we have Cold Brew Latte. Another favorite. It is described as a pink beige base color for contouring. So it's kind of, as I said, the same thing with this one, Nutty Cloud. It just creates a beautiful base color. You can use it to contour around the eye, but for like those days when you feel like using more of a pink color. Again, one of my favorite combinations is this in the crease and this on the lid. Perfect, beautiful, such an easy, quick look, but you will look so put together and just like you put a lot of effort into it. Next we have Salted Caramel Latte, which is described as a caramel brown base. It's kind of warm, obviously. It's kind of brown, but it still has a little bit of a pink hue to it, which I think makes it pretty wearable for people who are neutral to cool, because pink colors, like cool toned colors, suit us very well, right? So I think that because these all have a little bit of a pink or rosy hue to them, it still makes them wearable. These don't look too terracotta, except this one. This is a little bit more terracotta, but this one you can wear if you're cool toned. I have it on right now. I don't think it looks half bad. The next color is called Ice Cube Latte, and it is a red brown base, so it's definitely the more terracotta, very warm red kind of looking shade. I think if you are a warm tone person, you're going to like literally die over this color. It's so beautiful. I can only imagine how nice it will look with a warm toned lip. Just love that it's another matte color, because as you can see, these shades kind of all build on each other. So I feel like it will never look weird. They kind of have the perfect saturation and the perfect tones, so that as you're applying them on your lid, you get the most seamless, perfect blend, because they really were made to work together. And I just think that the way they created this transition is just so perfect. Speaking of matte, we have this one, which it is pretty reddish and warm, but it's so flattering. It's called Black with Extra Shot, and it is a deep burgundy brown shade. If it was only burgundy, it would be a lot more cool tone, but since it has a little bit of a brown hue to it, it makes it a little bit more warm. Yet again, a matte color that just flows with these others so well. So this palette it has such an ease of use because you just start from one color and then you blend the other and the other and the other and your look is done. So you don't have to think a lot when you use this palette, and that is what I love so much. Like, everything flows together, everything works together so nicely. The next one kind of is a surprise in this palette because it is very cool toned. It's kind of like a taupey, silvery glitter topper, which doesn't look like it would fit with the rest of the palette, but for whatever reason it just does. It's called Up All Night and it is a silver brown glitter with silver and white pearl. That's so accurate. I never thought of it. I was always like, it's kind of silver, it's kind of cool tone, but it kind of has like a brown hue to it. I could just never really pinpoint what it was. That is so true. It's kind of like a silvery brown color. Oh my god. So this is so beautiful on top of any of the others, since it has that little bit of a brown glitter in it as well. Not base tone, it's just a glitter in it. It just blends in with the other colors and it will never look off. I just love that this palette gives you the option of 2 shimmers and 2 glitters, and depending on what you're feeling like, you can take the more rosy one or the more like bronzy gold one, something more warm or something more cool. So that is one thing, and that is why I think this palette is like so perfect for every day, because you can always create like a staple good matte kind of base, and then on those days when you feel like a little bit more of a special twist to it, you can just take a shimmer or a glitter. And the last color is this super deep shade. If I use this palette, I use this to smoke out my eyeliner, which I did today. It's called Extra Caffeine and it is a deep red brown base. It doesn't look very warm, so it says it's a deep red brown, and it has, if you swatch it with other more neutral browns, definitely a warmer tone to it, but it's not crazily warm, or just like a very deep shimmery kind of brown. Although it is a shimmer, it's not as intense as the other 2 shimmers, so you can still use this to blend out your eyeliner. It's not going to overpower it. It's not that metallic. You can still like define your eyes very well. These were all the shades, and now I'm just going to quickly show you the blush again. This is the Lovely Cookie blusher. They still have this around in like many different shades, and this shade that came with the collection was called, or is called, Pink Brownie, and I think it's just such a perfect description. It's kind of like a pink, very muted, warm kind of pink with a hint of brown to it. It kind of makes it very natural mauve-y, kind of like Melba from MAC, but more pink. It has a beautiful golden shimmer throughout it, but it doesn't really translate to the skin that much. It looks like it's gold glitter, very fine glitter in the pan, but it's not. It's just a beautiful gold shimmer, and again, on the skin it doesn't translate like super shimmery, so it looks very natural. I have it on right now and I just love how healthy, alive, and kind of like warm cheeked you can look with this. So this is one of my all-time favorites. Not too pigmented that you have to be afraid of using it, but it isn't sheer either. You can really build it up and it really shows on your skin. I think that even if you have a deeper skin tone than I have, I still think you can get a lot of use out of this. And yes, it's just a staple in my collection because of its neutral tone. This is a blush that when I don't know what to wear, I either go for Physicians Formula Rosy Pink if I want something more cool toned, but if I want something warmer and neutral, this is what I always go for. It blends very easily, it doesn't skip on the skin, it never looks patchy. It's just a beautiful formula and a beautiful color. And that completes today's video. I totally recommend this palette if you like warm colors, if you like something very like coffee inspired because you just like that aesthetic. I do. I hope it was helpful. If it was, give me a thumbs up. I really hope to see you in my next video, and until then, take care and I'll see you soon. Bye!